Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the upcoming Saturn retrograde, which we're technically in right now on the shadow side. It's in Aquarius, so I'm just going to discuss it a little bit. Pre-pulled a few cards that will guide us a little bit with this, and we'll get going. All right, the Saturn retrograde we're dealing with this year is in Aquarius and happens June 4th through October 23rd. Shadow sides are typically 14 days before or after, respectively. It affects everybody differently. Chances are, if you have Aquarius in your Saturn, it will affect you, or anyone you know that has that. But can also affect any high aspected placements, as well as your rising and ascendant and your star sign, if I recall. Okay. I know it's all crazy energy, but and of course we've got all these other retrogrades as well, so it's gonna be like this for a number of years. So as long as you understand how the energy may get affected, you'll be able to plan and move accordingly. All right. So this particular retrograde in Aquarius, sort of, this is where discipline, authority, structure, tradition are celebrated. It's also where hard work and maturity happens in all things. It's also a time to go your own way, become more autonomous, either spiritually or physically or both. Okay. It's a good time to find new attitudes towards how you handle obstacles. This is also a time where justice and karma are returned. That's just how the energy comes back. You know, the energy we put out does come back. So it may result in some fears or difficulties with challenges, egotism, confidence loss, and arguments. Really just depends on how people are handling their energy and solving their problems. So chances are the energy they put out will come back, and this will be a time where you'll start to notice that. So just keep in mind. This is a good time for revisiting relationships to assess them, not necessarily to handle them, just to kind of assess them and see what you need to do and move accordingly. It's also a good time for working on long-term goals, duties, and manifestations. The other retros that will affect this one is pretty much any of the Mercury retrogrades that are coming up. Now, the two that are pertinent right now, we have Mercury in Taurus that's happening right now, and we'll finish the shadow side June 17th. The next one will be Mercury starting in Libra, ending in Virgo. That begins September 10th. So the shadow side is somewhere in the last week of August. And that will go all the way until October 2nd. So the shadow side on that may be the third week of October. And I'll have a video on that as we get closer to the shadow side of that particular retrograde. We also have Mars in Gemini that's happening in the last week of this month, and for the upcoming 14 days on the shadow, which affects behavior, travel, and finishing tasks. During that time, no new projects is suggested, only revisions, and commitments may be challenged as well, so patience is key. We also have Jupiter in Aries and Pisces. We also have Uranus, the Great Awakener, in Taurus for the whole year, which will affect anybody with their North Node in Taurus or their rising, ascendant star. We also have Neptune in Pisces. Pluto is retrograding, as well as Chiron. So I'll try to do retrograde-oriented energy readings on all of them as much as possible and get us caught up on this energy so we know what to do. But you can also just go ahead and look it up. So the first cards we have today, I'm going to put Durja up here, boundaries. Freya, boldness. And I'll start with just three since there's a few ladies that have a lot to say. Lakshmi, abundance. Okay. Durja, boundaries. Origin, Hindu. Great goddess of war and protection, Durja is leaping into your life right now to help you establish boundaries. Boundaries are one of the greatest ways you can take care of yourself. Remember to draw clear ones to protect and preserve your inner spirit. Freya, boldness, origin, Norse. Playful goddess of love and ruler over war and death, Freya appears before you to encourage you to boldly go forth. Now is not the time to play small. Step into your power, embrace your desires, and take swift action to manifest them fully in your life. Freya's got your back. Lakshmi, where did you go, darling? There you are. Abundance, origin, Hindu. Goddess of fortune and prosperity, Lakshmi brings a bounty of rewards for great work. She especially favors people who have perseverance and put in the hard work, so make sure you're putting in the time. Abundance is coming very soon. Up next, we have Luhan, individuality. Mat, justice. Stand up, darling. There you go. Try to get all of these here. Ocean, forgiveness. And Pele, determination. There we go. Luhan, individuality. Origin, Vietnamese. You've got the sign to go your own way, even if it's not what's conventional or acceptable. Goddess Luhan blesses you with gifts of talent and competence to blaze that trail. Mat, justice. Origin, Egyptian. Mat rules over all things related to truth and justice, so you'll be gaining fair treatment for whatever it is you are seeking. Ocean, forgiveness. Origin, Yoruba. You've been hurt, and Ocean is here to help soothe and nurture your heart so you can forgive. Forgiveness is the gift we give ourselves, so let the loving goddess Ocean guide you through the pain. Love for yourself will free you from agony. Pele, determination. Origin, Hawaiian. Tempestuous goddess of fire and volcanoes, Pele is guiding you to find your own path and step in with determination. You'll find that you can do anything you set your mind to. All right. And from the boys' side of things, we have Vulcan, inventiveness. We have Mithras, sacrifice. And we have Akat, dedication. Let's not cover Mithras' face. There you go. All right. We'll read Akat first. Akat, dedication. It is time to complete a current project and dedicate yourself to the next venture. It is safe to commit. The ancient Mayans were a tattooed people. Not just a purely decorative art to them, tattoos proved clan identity and were seen as rites of passage and a direct injection of divine power. It was believed that when you tattooed a god or his symbology upon your skin, some of the energy and power of that god remained with you always. Since tattooing held such significance and the accuracy in the depiction mattered so much, the tattooist was a revered person in the tribe, and a deity ruled this practitioner's hand. The god that governed the art of tattooing was Akat. Akat himself, covered in the ink of gods, is a witness to the contracts you sign with yourself. Know that symbols and words of promise have power, and that Akat is the protector of these. When Akat is present with you, and when he comes up in your reading, it may be a sign that it's time to dedicate yourself to a new project or path, or consider completing a rite of passage. Where you need the strength or courage to adhere to what you have promised, Akat is there to assist you to hold the line. If you plan to get a tattoo, you can say a short prayer to Akat prior to your session to help the tattooist do his or her best work on you. On the shadow side, and I'm going to read the shadow sides for all three, given justice and karma are relative to this retrograde, and you may be encountering this energy. All right. Some people have a habit of starting things and never completing them. If this becomes a repeating pattern in your life, it can be a real issue. Perhaps it relates to education, enrolling in one course after another but not completing any of them, or not being able to fully commit emotionally to anything or anyone, or not being able to fulfill a contract. Calling upon Akkad to help you stay on the path that you have chosen can be useful. Mithras, sacrifice. Examine the balance between healthy sacrifice and being totally selfless. Consider establishing a code of honor and harmony. There is little agreement upon the true origins of the cult of Mithras. This is partially due to its inherently hidden nature and the way that its rites and rituals were communicated through a tightly held hierarchical structure. Whether Mithras was a god sparked in Persia, India, or sprang fully formed in the ancient Roman Empire, he was a deity of action, honor, and sacrifice, and his mysteries were passed carefully from initiate to initiate. What we know from the dark holy caverns left behind is that men met in the deepest wounds of the earth, numbering no more than 40 at a time, and conducted worship and rituals to enliven the symbology of Mithras as he kills a sacrificial bull, the Pterochtomni. This blood sacrifice was a symbol of the laying down of life for a higher purpose, and it was quite literally reflected in the night sky in the shape of the constellation Perseus. The snake eating its tail, Ouroboros, also featured frequently around Mithras, a symbol of never-ending cycle of creation, death, and rebirth. It is said that the handshake, a signal of bond between men of peace and agreement, had its origins in Mithraic ritual. It is no wonder, then, that Mithras became popular with the Roman soldiers. War in these times was a bloody and serious business. A god who promotes honor between men of action, represents sacrifice for the greater good, and reflects a cycle of rebirth was particularly relevant for these legions of fighting men who risked their lives for long periods at a time for the glory of Rome. Should Mithras make himself known to you, he may be validating the sacrifices you are making and supporting you in your work. However, there must be balance in this. Many of us continually sacrifice our own needs over and over and become selfless as a result. This only breeds resentment and extreme neediness, which is extremely damaging to our own growth. The shadow side of this card. Mithras is most commonly portrayed killing and sacrificing a great bull. The blood fury of killing and sacrifice for no meaning can be a reality of any violent battle. Mithras asks us to consider that there is a code of honor, which calls for fairness and justice above all in the battlefield. While most of us are not involved in actual war, many of us engage in different types of war, in the office, in relationships, and in the courtroom. So this message is the same. Vulcan, inventiveness. Think outside the square and go for the most creative solution. Hold your emotions in check and think rationally. There was one god in the ancient world that was valued for his inventiveness and ingenuity above all others, Vulcan. In his Greek embodiment, Hephaestus, he was both respected and courted by the other gods for his skills, yet scorned as well, for he was not physically formed as were the other gods. In fact, when Hera, his mother, saw what she had borne, she flung him from Olympus down to the island of Lemnos on Earth. The airport there today is called Hephaestus. Fun fact. Here, Thetis, who is also eventually the mother of Achilles, raised him, and he invented the art of blacksmithing. There was nothing that Vulcan could not make. His creativity and inventiveness abounded. He made items that were not only beautiful, but supremely practical for their intention. The winged boots of Hermes were made by his hand, the armor of Achilles, Helios' sun chariot, the unbreakable chains that held poor Prometheus to his rock, and incredibly the first woman, Pandora, was also his divine handiwork. It is his intelligence and mastery that shines through when we see how he tricks the rather unmotherly Hera into allowing him not only into Olympus again, but also granting him the hand of the most beauteous of goddesses, Aphrodite. Vulcan never quite forgave his mother for her slight upon him, and he made her a golden throne that was untouched in its artistry under the guise of a gift. Hera accepted it. How could she not? But as soon as she sat on its mechanical coils sprang forth, entrapping her in the chair, and no matter how hard she tried, she could not free herself. The sun she so looked down upon now had the upper hand, and negotiated his return into the mountains of Olympus, with Aphrodite as his wife. When you need to think outside the box, when you have run out of ideas, when you need to create something very practical to solve a problem, Vulcan is your god. Celebrating or further developing your uniqueness and cognitive abilities are also a Vulcan trait. It is said that the geeks inherit our earth now. These are the people who use their minds and inventiveness rather than their force and brawn. This is very much something that Vulcan would appreciate. Using your rationality rather than your emotions to make decisions may be the way to go should Vulcan step forth in your life today. On the shadow side of this card, never using the heart and only the head is also not the most optimum path. Vulcan, for all his pragmatism and skill, was not lucky in love. Aphrodite cuckolded him with hot-blooded Ares, partly due to his coldness. Those that are different in some way are sometimes feared. Vulcan's appearance and his magical skills as a smith made him difficult to understand for those who did not take the time to know him more deeply. Is there someone you fear or are intolerant of because of their difference or skill? Or are you yourself the victim of this? Intolerance is a theme running through some of Vulcan's stories, so ask his assistance in coping with this, should it be affecting you in any way. Okay. And for our energy healing, the chakra card pulled is number 22, Life Purpose. Life Purpose, Throat Chakra. You have called this card into your awareness today to highlight that it is a perfect time for you to manifest your life purpose. It is our birthright to walk our path with purpose, and now is the time for you to manifest your path into reality. What is your life purpose, you may ask? If we are all sparks of the divine love of the universe here to express love into reality, then it would make sense that your life purpose is to do what you love to do and share it with the world. Take a moment to ask yourself, what is it that you love to do? What brings your heart joy? Sometimes there is fear or resistance around your life purpose or what you love to do. Fears such as rejection, failure, not earning enough money, even a fear of success. Fear is a natural part of the process of stepping out of your comfort zone and is often created when you hold yourself back. If you are waiting for the fear to subside before you start to do what it is you love to do, you could be waiting forever. There is a lot in the old saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. It is time for you to dance into your life purpose and to shine your light upon this world. When you listen to your heart and start to plant and water the seeds required to step forward onto your path, miracles happen. Unexpected doors open and opportunities you could never imagine come your way. When you decide to live your life purpose and walk your own path, the universe is there to meet you with abundance of blessings. Pulling this card can also indicate that you are already walking your life path. It will not always be easy though, so hold on, enjoy, and take the ride of your life. The affirmation of this card: I am in divine alignment and living my life purpose. And last but certainly not least, we have from the Halloween Oracle, the Skull of Stars. Infinite possibilities. There we go. Why think so small when galaxies spin within? Realize that you are made of the stuff of stars, and infinite possibilities begin. This skull brings us back to the fact that we are all made of stuff of stars, yet many of us think so small. We're each born with a blank canvas to paint upon, and we are indeed an open sky of possibilities. It is easy to feel small in a world that is so busy, impersonal, and seemingly self-absorbed. We can at times feel lost and unclear about our direction, and lose sight of our place in the cosmos. The Skull of Stars reminds us that we are only limited by our own imagination and boundaries. If we can dream it, it is possible. This card indicates that you need to think bigger and more broadly about your future and what you would like to achieve. Perhaps there are false beliefs, often old, that no longer serve you as you grow and change. Sometimes these beliefs may not even be yours. They may have been imparted to you by your parents or the wider community, yet feel rather incongruent to you. You need to endeavor with all of your heart and soul to live the life you want and honor your own wishes and truth. There you have it, guys, for Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. Coming up, I'm not sure which retrograde it is. I believe it will be Neptune coming next. That will be shadow sides in about a week, so stay tuned. All right, have a good one.